like there's always lots of lows. I know like people talk about a balance of highs and lows, right? In law school, there's always lots of lows. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my legal journey with you, from how I started law school, what law school was like, and the challenges that I faced, just trying to secure a place for me to do my articles so that I can actually start practicing. I hope you're going to enjoy this video and that it will be an inspiration to someone who might also be in the same position in their legal journey, where you'd have done everything you can, but somehow things are just not working out and you're just not getting a place to do your articles, and you're wondering what's gonna happen with my life, am I ever gonna make it? So if you're that person, this is the video for you, because I do have a story to share. So I think the best way to actually start the story is to start from high school, right? Because I think your high school results actually do play quite a significant role in determining whether or not you're going to get into law school in the first place. So I think like from high school, I always knew like I wanted to be a lawyer, right? So I did my high school in Zimbabwe. And if you know like how high school is structured in Zimbabwe, it's 6 years. So the first 4 years, that's basically your O level, which is like your ordinary level stage. And then from then, you're going to go to your advanced level stage. So for my O level stage, I can't even say like I had the best results. I wrote 9 subjects. I passed 8. The other one I failed with like 58%. But if you know Zim, a pass is 60% and above. So anything below that is a fail. So I did fail ICT with like 58%. And I didn't even have like the greatest results. I had like a mix of A's, B's, and C's. So I can't say I had like really great results for my O level. The only good thing about them was I did pass maths. And it's very important for you to pass maths. And here's why. Because when you go to law school, they are going to look at your maths mark, right? So you need a mark that is above 60% for maths. And if you are in South Africa, that's also the requirement. They're going to look for your maths mark, whether it's maths lit or your pure maths, whatever it is, you still need to really pass your maths. So me passing my maths at O level actually set up the ground for me in terms of my legal journey. And then when I went for my A levels, I think because A level in Zimbabwe is a bit specialized, so I did take subjects that I really loved, subjects I knew that I was really going to be good at, because, I'm passionate about some of them. I'm really interested. So I really did do my best at A level. Like that was the time when I started really being serious, because I then realized that, so if I'm actually serious with life, I can get really good grades. I was starting to really get good grades by that time. So I just became so serious. And also what happened was my dad told me, you are going to go to Wits. That was the one thing he said to me, like, whatever you do, make sure you're going to get into Wits. So even when I was applying for varsity, I didn't even apply anywhere else. I just applied at Wits, and I applied for law and the BA, because, BA is strategic, right? If you don't get into law school, you can do a BA and then try to get into law school later. So I had to work really hard my final year of high school just to make sure that I really get into Wits Law School, which I did. So that's basically how I got in there. Like at some point in my life, I had to really be serious and say, I want to get into Wits Law School. This is what I need to get into Wits Law School. So I'm going to work towards that. As a law student, life is not easy for law students. Life is not easy. Like there's always lots of lows. I know like people talk about a balance of highs and lows, right? In law school, there's always lots of lows, right? So when I just got to law school, I did my first year, it's chilled, it's easy. You only have like 2 law courses. So I did the 4-year LLB degree. So first year we only had like 2 law courses, like your intro to law and your law of persons. And then they asked us to just take random courses from the humanities department that we can do to just fill up our timetable. And I took philosophy, something that I don't regret. I really loved philosophy. And because I was doing law and philosophy, I think it sort of like helped me in certain analytical skills, like critical thinking skills and everything. So I don't actually regret taking philosophy. It was a very good combination for me. So that's what I did. And by the end of my first year, I got like distinctions, and I was like, whoa, wait, I can actually do this law school thing. I could not believe it, because it was like my first year in law school and I got distinctions throughout. And I remember I even got like the dean's list for that year, and I got into Golden Key. So Golden Key basically is top 15% of your stream, and the dean's list is more competitive because but at that time when I was in my first year, it was top 10% with an average of 70% and above, right? So it's a bit more competitive. You don't just get on the dean's list like that. It felt really great just to get that kind of award, like just to get your hard work recognized. So I was like, I want to get this every single year of law school. I made that my law school goal. Like every single year of law school, I want to get something out of it that really acknowledges my hard work. So I was just like, I'm going to be on the dean's list every single year. And I can tell you right now, I was. But also when I was setting those goals, I actually realized, so you can actually get distinctions in law school. And what do you need to do? Like if you just study, you do like everything right. There's like a certain formula to pass in law school. So I was just like, if I do what I did the first time, I'm definitely going to get this dean's list the second time, right? And eventually, I actually want to graduate law school with distinction. So those are my 2 main law school goals. And when you're in varsity, it's a different space from, say, high school. High school, a lot of things are a bit regulated, like your study time is regulated, even the kind of activities people are doing there. You can't do certain things because it's restricted and all of that. So I can say, like, when I got to a point where I say to myself, I really want to push myself to get really good grades. I want a good transcript. And part of my reasons for actually doing that was my transcript, my varsity transcript, is basically going to carry me everywhere I'm going to go. Every single time I think of applying for a job, they're going to want my CV, and my transcript is going to be part of the documents that they're going to want to see. And sometimes people don't take you based on your transcript. Like they look at your transcript and they're actually like, you're applying to a commercial law firm, but you've been failing commercial law subjects. Like, what do you think you're going to be doing here? So I had to make sure that my transcript at least is really good. Anything else that's maybe on me or other circumstances, but my transcript on itself had to speak certain things about me. It had to fight for me on its own without me even being in the room. So that's the decision I made. And when you make that kind of a decision, it comes with a lot of sacrifices and a lot of losses. I know, like, for me, I lost quite a lot of friends during that time, and even some relationships that just didn't work out because, I now had this vision. I was thinking of life after law school and where I want to be and what I need to do in law school in order to get there. That certain other things that other people in varsity were doing, I just wasn't interested. On a Friday night while other people are partying, I wasn't even there. I was thinking about, I need to read a particular case, or I'm just going to rest because tomorrow morning I have like this study plan that I have until midday, and then I'm going to do whatever. So I wasn't found there. And, sometimes people want people who want to have fun. Not that I wasn't having fun. I mean, I did do like hang out with people, go for lunch dates, or attend parties here and there. So some of the people that, we ended up just not being friends or talking anymore, or like relationships ending because we're just like, no, you're so boring, you're always studying, you don't want to go hang out. Even in university, a lot of things are just about sex, drugs, rock and roll, and just like, you're not about that life, and this is the kind of life we want to do, so you're just not the kind of person we want to be hanging out with right now. However, because I was so focused on the academics, there are certain things that are also very important when it comes to your legal career that I ended up not doing, or at least not doing them in time. And I realized that when it was now too late, that I actually need to be doing these things right. So, extracurricular activities, I think for my first 2 years in law school, I was just focused on my academics. And by the time I got to my third year, I was actually like, oh my gosh, I don't even have practical experience of the legal profession. Quite a lot of people are talking about how they've been doing vacation work at law firms, how they've been doing internships. And I was just like, I don't have any of this experience. And I had to ask them, like, okay, if I actually want to apply for VAC work and internships, what are the kind of things that they look at? Like, what things give me an advantage? And people just sharing their experiences with me, like, oh, at the very, maybe just like try some extracurriculars, just show that, you're a well-balanced law student. I was in my third year, and that's when I was learning you need to be a well-balanced law student. You can't just be an academic person totally. Like, people also want to see your life outside of law school. And this is actually true, because even when you go for interviews, they are going to be asking you about law stuff, but then they're also going to be asking you about life outside of law school. They want to know you. What do you do when you're not studying? So now I'm in my third year, I'm realizing I only have these last 2 years in law school, and I need to make myself, at the very least, look like I am well balanced. So I had to think about what can I do that I'll also be able to balance with other things, because ultimately I didn't want anything that would compromise my academics. So I had to look for activities that I could actually do without compromising my academics, like things that I can balance. And it's very important, like when you do any extracurricular activities in law school, make sure you are able to balance them with your studies. Because ultimately, remember that you're in law school for law, you are in varsity for the studies. So whatever you're going to do on the side, even if you're really great at it, like, you can't compromise your studies as well. Like, just need to have that sort of like school life balance. The first thing I did was to apply for this program that they were offering at the Constitutional Court. I think it was like they used to do it on Saturdays. I don't know if they're still doing it now, where it was like an educational program where on Saturdays you'd go and you teach people about the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, how to enforce their rights, what are their rights, what do they mean, when can they enforce it. And because I'm just like a human rights person generally, I was just like, yes, I want to do this. This is going to be so fun. So I used to do that almost every Saturday for at least the first semester of my third year. And it was really great. I enjoyed doing that. I mean, I just really enjoy talking about rights and how to enforce them, just empowering people. So I really did enjoy that. And by the way, it did come in handy later on in my life. Like, that experience did come in handy later on. And I also tried to do like tutoring. So I would tutor high school kids in Alex. I would do I joined some societies. Remember, I even went for like mountain climbing. Okay, that was fun because I like rock climbing, mountain climbing type of stuff. So that was also quite fun. So yeah, I had like that thing where in my whole third year, I was just trying to make myself a well-balanced law student. And trust me, like, you don't get these things in 1 year. Like, you need to start early when you're in your first year and build, because you can't just try and make this magical CV in 12 months. Sometimes it's not going to work, right? Because remember, as you advance in law school, your responsibilities are also increasing, because, like I said, I started with 2 law courses in my first year. By the time I was in my third year, I had like 7 or more law courses that I was doing, and most of them were full year courses. So it wasn't even like, oh, this semester is hectic, but next semester is not. Most of them were full year courses. So every semester was going to be hectic anyway. And when I was now in my final year, that's when I started putting in applications for articles, which is a bad idea. So what I did was to say, whatever happens, I'm going to spend at least 5 years in law school, because what I wanted to do was to do my LLB degree and then go straight to study for my master's degree. So when I was applying for articles, I was applying for 2019 instead of 2018, when, well, most of my streammates were going to be starting their articles, because I was just setting 2018 as my master's here. So now when I got there, I'm trying to apply. I'm competing with people who are probably like in their third year, and they've got a whole long, like a very long CV. Some of them have actually been to those firms for work or internships and all of that. And I'm just there like, oh, I don't have that much experience, but I really like to work for you. And please don't do that. Honestly, you need to start doing these things early. Start applying early. This whole late application thing, or starting late to think about your future outside of law school, it's hectic. You will come across a lot of challenges, especially if you don't know how to go about it in a way that will be helpful for you. I mean, there are some people who do start late and they just get the opportunities just like that, but then it's not the same for everyone. So now what happened was I started applying, and I think this is common in quite a number of law schools. A lot of the firms you see on campus are the big firms, like the big law firms. So, in as much as I knew that I wanted to do environmental law, I started looking at those big firms, like, do they have an environmental law department? And if they did, then I'll apply there, which is also another mistake, because I was supposed to cast my net wide. When you're looking for articles, it's very advisable for you to cast your net wide. I know everybody wants to be in a big law firm, you feel like maybe that's where the law is. That's how you can actually say, I'm a lawyer if you're at a big law firm. But the truth is, big law firms can only take so many people. So if they've already got their people for that particular year, you're not going to get in, and you might not even get in for the next 5 years. So you need to be making a plan. Instead of waiting until you get into a big law firm, you need to cast your net wide. Like, okay, I'm applying to a big firm, but if I don't get in, what's my plan? So I went to apply to these big law firms, and even in my motivational letter, I was busy writing, I'm very interested in environmental law, and I had two main reasons, right? So my first reason was, I think that a lot of people are suffering from environmental damage, but they don't know what the law is, they don't know what their rights are, and I want to stand up for those people. My second reason was, I feel like environmental issues are not taken seriously, and I want to bring them to like mainstream media. And the third reason was around accountability, where I would talk about how a lot of corporates, they're just operating and violating a lot of environmental laws, and nobody's holding them to account. And I want to be one of those people who's just like chasing them. Now, think about this. My motivation, does it really go with big law things, like the kind of work they do? It doesn't. But there I was applying at a big law firm. Why? Because I did see that an environmental law department. So I was just like, yes, they do heavy, they do mining work, they do extractives. So yes, surely they should be doing the kind of things that I want to do. And I applied. And I did get interviews. Some of them I did not, but I did get interviews from quite a few of them. And I'd go there, I'd still say the same things. And they'll just look at me like, have you ever been in a room and you're talking about something with so much passion and so much energy, and people just look at you like, child, what are you talking about? Like, no man, like, do you even know who you're talking to? Are you in the right place? Why are you here? Like, you know, people might not say it to you, but you feel that their energy is not the same as yours. Those are the experiences that I had. And I remember the one time, I'm not going to mention the law firm, but I went through like a 2-day selection process with them. And on my final day, my final interview, one of the partners just said to me, listen, all these things you're talking about, environmental compliance and people's rights and all of those things, they are very idealistic, firstly. And secondly, that's not what we do here. And you're just not going to be a fit here. If you want to do those things, that charity work that you want to do, that pro bono kind of law stuff that you want to do, I don't even know what to call it, just go to Greenpeace, not here. And you know, you're in the middle of an interview, right? And somebody bashes you down like that. I just broke. I broke down. Like, I just couldn't say anything more. So that interview had to end. And I did not want to talk about that interview for a while until my dad said to me, Tatinda, what happened in that interview? And I said to him, I did not get that job. They haven't sent me formal correspondence, but I know I did not get that job. Reason being, the partners thought I was very idealistic and my passion for environmental law is just going to take me nowhere because they don't do charity work and I want to do charity work. I care so much about people and their human rights and I'm just not a good fit for them. So what's going to happen with me? Where am I going to end up? Am I going to struggle? Am I even going to get a job? Like, is there no place here in South Africa or elsewhere where I can actually do this kind of work that I'm talking about? Like, is there no place? Am I just being that idealistic? And also, why do they have an environmental law department and they just don't do those things? Like, I didn't understand it, but it broke me down, like just having someone shut me down like that. So I just stopped applying. I really just stopped applying. I was just like, I'm not applying anymore. So the rest of my final year just went by. I did do a few interviews after that, but I was just so demotivated. I was not just doing them for the sake of, I'd applied way before and now they've called me to an interview and it's just like, what's the point? You're still a corporate law firm. You're still going to tell me that I'm being idealistic. I'm not a fit for you because all these things I'm talking about, they're just like Greenpeace type of stuff. So, by the way, Greenpeace does really amazing work around environmental law and climate change issues. And in hindsight, I actually think in as much as that partner was so mean to me, in as much as he wasn't polite or how can I say it, like he actually intended it to spite me. He wasn't saying it from a good place. It was basically like, you're wasting my time, why are you here type of thing that he did. In as much as he was saying that, I actually think in hindsight he was actually redirecting me to the places I should be looking at. Because at that point in my life, I was not looking at those places. I did not even know much about those places because, like I said, in law school, you're always going to know like your big law firms, the common big law firms, because they're the ones that are always there on campus. So as a law student, the first place you're going to apply really is to them. But there's quite a lot of law firms and other organizations that actually do law and they take candidate attorneys out there that we don't really know about, or because we've already created this perception. Or the other thing is peer pressure. You know, a lot of people are just like, no, I want to go to a big law firm, I want to go to a big law firm. And even if you yourself know that the things you're passionate about are not even going to be in a big law firm, you find yourself now applying to a big law firm, not necessarily because you are a fit for it or your passions are going to be met there, but just because everybody else is applying there. So peer pressure is a very bad thing. You need to be very reasonable, you need to be practical, you need to know yourself. And that is one thing that at that point, the only thing I knew is I want to be an environmental lawyer. And for me, from the beginning, I never actually struggled with communicating my passions or the type of environmental law I want to do. I just never struggled communicating that. My only problem was I tried to do it in the wrong places. I put in applications in the wrong places. I did not have time to actually research this kind of work that I want to do. where am I going to get it? I did not do that. And so then I had to go through all of this process of heartbreaks and disheartening moments where you're just like, you know what, I'm just not going to apply for anything anymore because it's just a struggle and I'm just not ready for this. So then I stopped. So then after my final year, I actually graduated with a distinction, which is also amazing. It was like law school gold meds. I got on the Dean's List 4 years in a row. I got my degree cum laude, and now it's like, what's next? I'm like, well, I'm just going to do my master's. I don't even care about articles right now. They blocked me. I'm not about to go do that again. I'm not about to experience it. So I didn't even bother to apply for places while I was doing my master's until sometime during my first semester. We got an assignment in one of my master's courses. I think it was the mining one. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so we got an assignment and I aced that assignment. Oh my gosh, like our professor's just like, everything I was thinking about when I was setting this question is everything you actually wrote in your assignment, save for one thing. So I didn't give you like 100% because of that one thing, but everything else was just there. Like I loved reading your assignment. So I really aced that assignment. But basically, she wrote in my assignment, like she just, like on the cover page, she just wrote a note that said, the CER is looking for brilliant law students just like yourself. Please do send your CV to the executive director. And she gave me the name of the executive director and the name of, and their email. And they say to me, send the CV to that person and say you're looking for articles. So I didn't want to disappoint her. And I was also in a space where I was just like, I just don't care anymore. I don't want to put myself through stress. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I don't want to disappoint my professor. Obviously she saw something in me in order for her to actually write something like that in my assignments and urge me in that direction. So I looked up the CR and I realized, oh my gosh, I actually know these people because I had subscribed to their mailing list years ago. I think back in 2015 when I was doing my second year, I was on their mailing list and I was seeing like a lot of the things that they were doing. And I was just like, this is the kind of work I want to do. But it was also in that moment where I was like, wait, why didn't I apply to the CR? Considering that I knew them from way before, but I just didn't apply. Like somehow when I was doing like applications, it didn't strike me that there's this organization that does exactly the kind of work I want to do, exactly the kind of work I'm talking about. I don't know why it just slipped my mind like that. So I sent my CV to the ED and obviously she did not respond, okay? For months, she did not respond. And when we're now like in June, I then saw that they posted a candidate attorney position thingy, job advert. And then I was just like, okay, since the ED did not respond to me, to my email, I understand EDs have a lot of work to do. Maybe it went into a junk mail or, she just like, you can lose an email, like anything can happen. So you don't really hold it against people. So I then applied formally. I just followed everything they said on their job adverts that I was supposed to do. And then I applied formally. And also, I just didn't hear anything from them. Not even, I think I probably got an acknowledgement of receipt, where they say, oh, we've received the application, whatever. And then from then I was just like, okay, it's a waiting game now. But in the meantime, like I said, I was just like, hey, I've been struggling to get articles, so I'm not even going to hold my breath on this one. So I was making plans. I remember I'd actually applied for another master's degree at Viz. This time I'd applied for the general master's degree because I thought it's a bit broad, right? So you're able to pick courses from different sectors and mix them together. It makes a nice combo, which was really great for me since my first one was a specialized one, in environmental law specifically. So I wanted like a general experience. And I was actually thinking, oh, I'm going to do my practical legal training as well, which is, I was thinking of doing it full time, which would have been 6 months after my master's as well. So it's just like, okay, I have a plan. Even if CR doesn't work out, I have a plan. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to do my practical legal training. I have a plan. I've got it sorted until articles come whenever they come. I'm sorted, So then they didn't respond, they didn't say anything until like September. That's when I got a phone call. Like, hi Tatenda, we received your application, you've been shortlisted, so we're going to send you an assignment, which is the first part of your interview process. If you do well in the assignment, then maybe we can shortlist you for the actual interview. But the first stage is just for you to do the assignment. And then they sent me this assignment, which was hard. Okay, at this point, I just want to say law school does not teach you a lot of things. Okay, like law school is not going to teach you how to write legal correspondence. And that assignment required me to write a letter to a minister just reporting an environmental violation that a community was just suffering from. And I read the question and was just like, okay, which minister? Because so I had to look for relevant sections that I was actually supposed to use, and how to actually write that letter. It's something that I did not know. I think the other question was on wildlife. So if you do environmental law in law school, whether you're going to do it at undergrad or at masters, they're not going to teach you wildlife law. They're not going to teach you about that. And I didn't even know it was a thing until I got that assignment. I'm like, what is wildlife? Like, which laws do you use to protect lions, guys, elephants? I don't even know. So I had to do a lot of research. I did not sleep for 3 days trying to just make sure that I get that thing right. And I think for me, the fact that they just gave me that assignment, that the fact that they just said to me, oh, you've been shortlisted for this the first time, it sort of motivated me. And I was just like, okay, you know what? I haven't applied for anything else, but I actually got this thing right now. Let me put my all into it and see how it goes. So then I sent in the assignment and then they just went quiet. And then like a month later, then they give me a call and it's just like, oh, you've been shortlisted for an interview. So I was like, okay, when is the interview? And I'm prepared for that interview like crazy. Like that was the one interview that I know that I really prepared for. I read the CR website in and out. I knew even where to find legislation on their website. I knew what their latest media release was, the cases that each program was working on, how many programs they have, the kind of work that they do, who is working at the CR. I studied their website. I was like, I do not want to leave any stone unturned. I want to know them because these are the people who do the things that I'm really passionate about, and I need to make sure that they like. I remember when I went for that interview, I had like purple hair, I had this bright pink and purple nails, and that morning when I was preparing, I was actually saying to myself, I need to hide my nails, but I can't hide my nails because remember when you're talking, or even when you're like this, everybody's going to see your nails. And my hair, I had to tighten a bun so that the purple is just not like purple right in your eyes like that. And then I got there, I was very nervous. I could not even put makeup or anything. I went natural face, everything natural. I even wore like a very small heel thingy. I was just like, I don't care what I'm wearing as long as I look presentable. What I need to make sure is that I go there and I get this job. So I went there and, you get in and they're very nice people. And I was wearing formal, right? And the people who were interviewing me were all in jeans and t-shirts. And it was just like, is this how life's going to be here? By the way, that's how life is there. So it's not like a very formal environment like that. So then I get there and then they start interviewing me. So obviously the first question would be, tell us about yourself. And being a law student, being like, you study, tell us about yourself. And you're talking about everything that's on your CV, and then they listened to me. And then afterwards they say to me, yeah, we've read your CV. We've read your motivational letter. That's why you're here. Now, tell us a little bit more about yourself. And that's when I realized they don't want to know about my low grades. They don't want to know about my passions. They just want to know me, like who is Tatenda. And that's when I started talking, like you're just talking. And like from then, it built our conversation going forward, right? Because I had studied them and some of the cases I did not even have to study from their website. It's stuff that I was already doing in my master's class and stuff that I did when I was doing environmental law in my final year for my LLB degree. So I kind of knew what's really going on in the sector. Like, what are the hot cases? What are the things that people are talking about? I knew that. So I could have a conversation with them, even some of the cases that they were working on. I mean, there's this case that I'm always laughing that I started learning about this case when I was in my final year of law school. And when I was doing my master's, I was also learning about that case. One of my master's exams was literally based on that case. And now I am literally working on that case years later. Like, that's how long cases can go, but that's besides the point. All I'm saying is we had moments where we're even discussing their cases and I'm criticizing them, and I mean, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm criticizing them, but they were very engaging. They were listening, and they would actually say, yes, we understand what you're saying, but this is why we did it. This is why we chose this direction. This is what we're hoping to achieve. And we'd actually have like a nice conversation. After that interview, I left and I said to myself, nah, this job, I got it. This one, it's mine. It's coming to me. I don't know when they're going to call me, but this one, it's coming home. It's coming to Tatane that I got this job. But obviously you used to have like nerves and be like, what if I'm too confident or whatever? But I knew I'd done everything that I can to get it. You know, I'd say to myself, I want to do everything that I can to get this job. And that's what I went to do. Yeah, so then afterwards, like towards the end of the year, that's when they emailed me. They're like, oh, we're pleased to offer you a place for articles, but you have to move to Cape Town. And it's like, I don't care if I have to move even to Port Elizabeth. I am moving. I am moving for this job. I am moving for this job. And I remember once I got it, once I started working, I actually sat down one day in my office and I was smiling. I was actually saying, this is exactly what I've been wanting to do, like, and I'm finally doing it. Like, I got that moment of satisfaction where I was like, this is exactly the type of work that I've been wanting to do, and right now I'm doing it. So yes, I did try and do this kind of work elsewhere where it just wasn't the right place for me to be doing that kind of work, but eventually it all worked out. Start early to apply for opportunities and try to get as much practical experience as possible while you're still in law school. And then also sometimes, even if you've got really good grades, it's going to be difficult for you to get opportunities. So don't get disheartened when things don't work out. Don't feel like you're a failure, you don't deserve good things or whatever. Like, keep trying. And maybe sometimes it's because you're knocking the wrong doors, like what I did. I was busy knocking the wrong doors. Whereas the minute I knocked on the right door, I just got in like that. So you need to be able to understand, like, which doors are you knocking and are they the right ones for you? And also understand, like, going back to my point where I was saying big firms can only take so many people. So you need to spread your seeds as well. Like, try applying to small firms, try applying to medium-sized firms. I know I've been a law student before, and people just sort of have this thing where they look down upon medium-sized firms or small firms or NGOs. It's just like the place to go is the big law firms. But I mean, I get why people would say that, but it also puts unnecessary pressure on other people because they then stop applying to places they're actually supposed to be applying to, and then you get so stressed in the end. So cast your net wide. Ultimately, what you need is your articles experience to start practicing. You are going to need that. So if you're going to be stuck up at, I'm only going to work at this big law firm and nowhere else, you're going to struggle. Or if you're going to look for opportunities in the places that are not necessarily where you're supposed to be, you're also going to struggle. If you're not going to start early in building yourself and making yourself a well-balanced law student, it's also going to be very difficult for you. And you know, the law market is a very competitive market. Even environmental law, not a lot of law firms do environmental law. It's a very small sector. It's still very specialized. It's still like coming out. So it's even going to be very difficult to get jobs there. So you need to make sure you do everything you can to actually stand out. And those things, like I was saying in my story, some of them I learned them at a very late stage, you know, when I was not trying to be like in a rush to do things right? Whereas other people had started much earlier than I had. So you are going to get disappointment sometimes, but it doesn't mean that you're not worth it. Because if you're like type A like me, sometimes I weigh my success against the things I've achieved. And when I haven't achieved something, I feel like I'm a failure or I'm worthless. Please don't feel like that. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you're probably knocking on the wrong door and you need to figure out what else you need to do. Like, what other strategies are you supposed to employ? How else can you improve yourself as a person? So, yeah, that was my story and my journey to securing articles. It wasn't an easy one. It had its ups and downs, but I do hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I really like to hear any comments that you might have or any questions that you might have about this journey or your specific journeys. If you'd like, any pinpoints on how you can go about it, I'm happy to share on that.